Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Denise Salcedo here, and I am excited to bring you today's guests are none other than Ring of Honor stars, the Bouncers, Beer City Bruiser, and Brian Milonas. Hey guys.
Hey, how's it going?
What's
Good,
going on, Denise?
good. I'm really excited to have you guys on. I love the Ring of Honor poster in the background.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's from Madison Square Garden. So Carrie Silken got a bunch of us some commemorative posters and stuff, and it's one of my prize possessions.
I know, isn't it crazy though? Like, what a fun night that was, and like now how everything sort of the whole world has changed.
Yeah, that was like a dream come true, and you never thought that we'd go from wrestling in front of 20,000 people to being quarantined here at home.
That's true. That's definitely true. So, how are you guys handling the quarantine, the pandemic, and all? What are you guys doing at home?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I got two little ones. Bruiser is, he's a little luckier, doesn't have the little ones, but I got an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old to keep me pretty busy. Odds are during this interview, you're probably going to hear one of them scream something in the background. So they keep me pretty busy. But other than that, just trying not to drink too much beer and trying to stay in some semblance of wrestling shape.
Well, I was going to say, you guys do have an excuse. I mean, after all, you guys are the Bouncers. You guys can definitely drink a lot of beer. But I did read on the news that people that maybe shouldn't are drinking way too much beer during this pandemic.
There's never
such
too
a
much
thing?
beer. There's never too much beer for the Bouncers. Never.
I love that. I love that. That's awesome. All right. So let's go ahead and jump in. Guys, so what are your thoughts right now? The entire wrestling landscape has completely changed, as you guys know, since you guys are in it. What are your thoughts right now on Ring of Honor not running any shows right now, not even empty arena shows? And would you guys be interested in wrestling some empty arena shows?
I mean, I
I'm
think it's
actually I'm actually really happy that we're not running empty arena shows. Part of the thing with Ring of Honor is we love our fans and we feed off that fan energy. What happened is after in Vegas, when they canceled the shows, the guys that were there, we did put on a couple empty arena matches and they filmed them, and it just didn't feel right and come off right. And so I'm real happy that Ring of Honor is thinking of our safety, our fans' safety and stuff like that, and keeping us all home. However, they are keeping us busy. I think every day Brian and I are recording something for Ring of Honor to put out on social media.
That's good. You got to find alternative ways to sort of, keep your name out there and whatnot. Brian, what are your thoughts on Ring of Honor not hosting any shows right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, and this is not a criticism of other wrestling companies or anything like that and how they're handling, but especially with having little ones here, and I don't airports and things like that are not really places I want to find myself right now. So I'm really grateful that Ring of Honor is looking out for us first and foremost, looking out for our health. And believe me, we are itching to get back. We want to get back. We want to wrestle. We want to get in front of the fans. We want to put out new wrestling content. And I feel really good about the fact that Ring of Honor will do that, and we'll do it when it's safe for us, safe for. I mean, it's not just the wrestlers you got to think about. It's not just us that. Make the show go. It's the referees, it's the production guys, it's the camera guys. There's so many people behind the scenes. So while it's just wrestlers, 1 or 2 guys, or maybe it's a tag match with 4 guys, there are so many people involved. It would probably violate a lot of local laws even. But man, we're itching to get back. But I'm grateful for Ring of Honor and what they've done for us.
And that's one of the things that I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I don't think a lot of people realize, like, yeah, you may just be seeing 2 guys in the ring, 4 guys in the ring or whatever. But the fact that in order to pull off a show like that, you got to have a massive production team. And there's so many people, like so many jobs, so many roles that sometimes you don't even think of that actually exist and are going on backstage. So in a way, like, that is a really, really, really strong point. So now let's go into the Bouncers. Guys, whose idea was it to bring you guys together as a team, and what were your initial reactions?
I think we can credit Todd Sinclair, the referee. He's known me since I started with Ring of Honor, and he's known Brian and pretty much since Brian started wrestling. And when Brian did his top prospect tournament in 2017, they were looking for a third person for Silas Young and I. And Todd had actually suggested Brian because he knew my personality, he knew Brian's personality, he knew my wrestling style, Brian's wrestling style. If you look at Brian's history and my history, we're almost along the same path. We've both been wrestling forever. We've went, different routes to get to Ring of Honor, but we've sacrificed a lot. And Todd Sinclair saw that, so he had suggested it. Brian and I got to talking with each other, and it was like chemistry right away. Like the first day that we actually wrestled each other first before we started tagging with each other, and it was like the conversation. I don't know how Brian feels, but I know after that conversation, I knew I had a new best friend. It was like ever since it's been buddies and brothers, and it's the time of my life right now.
That's awesome. And it's not every day that you find somebody that you get that instant chemistry, that instant connection with.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I mean, I was around a little bit, like I said, doing the top prospect stuff, doing some other, some other types of, preliminary matches and stuff for Ring of Honor. And one of the people I would always gravitate to and became pretty fast friends with before we even, before the idea was even hatched of us, the team was Bruiser. He was one of the most welcoming guys. Not that everybody wasn't welcoming, but just some people you just really hit it off with, and we did, right from the start. So I remember I was just kind of sitting around and got a phone call and said, "Hey, can you be at TV this weekend? We have an idea." Told me the idea, and I was pumped. I was excited. I was raring to go, and it took a long time to get there, but things happen the way they do for a reason.
And here's the thing, you guys been with Ring of Honor since 2018, correct?
As a team, yeah.
As a team,
correct,
yeah.
Right.
Yep, I've been with her since 2015. He's been there since 2017. So
like having to being able to join a company with so much history, with so many guys who have made such illustrious careers in Ring of Honor, how did that feel for you guys when you guys both respectively joined the promotion?
I mean, for me, it was, I guess, validation. And I think you have to have a measure of confidence to do this. You have to believe in yourself. And especially in a company, like a Ring of Honor, one of the top companies in the world, you truly have to believe you belong there. You truly have to believe in your abilities, especially when you look around the locker room and you see some of the guys that are in there. So for me, it was just that feeling of validation of like, yeah, I did, having that confidence in myself and that belief. And also, I think for me, it was thinking about all the people who invested time in me along the way, who helped me every step along the way, my trainers, my friends. So it was, Bruiser mentioned Todd Sinclair, who I've literally known. We started wrestling school the same week together. Guys like that who have, Todd's probably done more for me than anybody has in pro wrestling. I don't even know if it can be questioned, So it's validation when all that hard work finally pays off, and a company like Ring of Honor, invites you to be a part of it. It's pretty special.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool too when you get done with a match and someone like Jay Lethal walks up to you and pats you on the back. I mean, Jay Lethal is probably the greatest wrestler on the planet right now. And I know when I first started, it was almost intimidating because here are these guys that you see that made a name for themselves in professional wrestling, and then they made Ring of Honor what it was from like a little fledgling East Coast company into this global phenomenon. And you see like the Briscoe brothers and Jay Lethal and the Kingdom and stuff, and it's kind of intimidating, but then you get to know the locker room, and like Brian said before, the locker room's so welcoming. And the best thing about our locker room is we all want to be better, not just for each other but for the fans, because if we're all pushing each other to be better, the fans benefit from it because they get to see all these great matches. And it feels really good to be welcome to that company. There was never a period where I was like, oh my God, I don't belong here. Like Brian said, it's validation, because you're like, hey, I worked hard and now I'm getting that praise from people, but I'm also still learning, because Bully Ray will pull us aside and say, hey guys, that was a good match, but what about this? And here's a guy he's a Hall of Famer, and he's taking his time to help us because he wants the company to be better.
That's incredible. And I'm glad that you mentioned the locker room and you guys all wanting to be better and all of that. One of the interesting things that happened prior to the pandemic were some big news for Ring of Honor with Marty Scurll be joining the booking committee. What were your thoughts on that?
We're both actually pretty excited. We The cool thing about the creative with Ring of Honor is they listen to our ideas. They don't always go with our ideas, but that's a creative standpoint in anything. And with Marty being at it, it was really good because we're both really good friends with pretty much Hunter and stuff like that, who's also on the creative and booking. And Marty coming in adds like another view where we can bounce ideas off of and get feedback from another perspective. And we were both, when it first happened, we were both like, okay, it's change. You know, everyone's worried about change. But I think it was probably the second or third day. Brian will have to correct me, but I think it was like the second or third day where he was listening to our ideas and he was taking time to, you know, and made us feel welcome to and he's really approachable. Like, hey, I have this idea, and he allows us to come in and pitch that idea and then help tweak it and stuff.
Yeah, I think you know, it was funny because it was like this foregone conclusion that Marty was like gone from Ring of Honor and he was going to leave and all that, just you know, just like the other guys did. And I think so. I think from just the standpoint of he was going to stay and be a big part of the company, I think was very exciting for not just two of us but everybody. Marty's a big star. Marty is a hell of a talent. He's a smart guy. So he is somebody, no matter what the role is, you want him on your team, you want him on your side. And I know I can speak for a lot of people when I say, like, I'm damn glad that Marty is on our team for a long time going forward.
Yeah, I know a lot of people, you know, you're going online, you're reading people's opinions, reading the rumors, etc. And I think a lot of people expected Marty to go a different direction. And when he came out and, you know, basically said that he was going to join the booking committee, I was like, this is brilliant. Are you kidding me? Like, this is such a brilliant move. Marty is such a creative guy, and he seems like the kind of person that, you know, wants to do more. So I feel like if anything, that was a really awesome decision on his part. But that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, he's a stand-up guy, and he's his own man. I think he proved more than anything is he wasn't going to follow in anybody's footsteps. He's going to create his own legacy. So I don't want to speak, you know, obviously I don't want to speak for the guy, but from a perspective of, or my perspective, I think it proved one, just how much he cares about the company, how much he cares about the guys in the locker room, and two, he proved he's his own man. He's going to carve his own path in pro wrestling, no matter what other people are telling him he should do. You know,
I like exactly. Also too, he stands his ground. Where if you come to him with an idea and it's not the same idea that he wants, you know, he'll tell you, no, we're not doing that, but he won't just leave it at that. He'll explain why he doesn't like that idea, and it's better to be able to work with somebody than just get told flat out no and they walk away. You know, you hear some of these other companies where they have ideas and the company just says no and they don't know why. What's cool about Marty is he'll stand by his opinion and his idea, but on the flip side, he's also open to other ideas where he's willing to change it and tweak it and stuff like that. And me personally, I'm a creative guy and I care passionately about wrestling, and it's so much easier to work with somebody like that because you're not afraid to approach them. And like he said, Marty's a stand-up guy.
And that helps because I think you need somebody like that. You can't just have a yes person that says yes to all of your ideas. No, it needs to be a little bit a mixture of both so that you guys can come out with the best outcome. So I think that's really awesome. So now you guys also appeared on NWA Power. What was the studio wrestling experience like for you guys?
That was probably the coolest experience we've both had in our career. Definitely a highlight, and I will speak for Brian on this. Definitely a highlight for both of us in our career. We were like two kids in a candy store because we grew up on studio wrestling. And walking in, you know, first of all, we were asked, which was great, you know, and to be a part of the NWA, which is a fledgling company that Billy Corgan has an idea and he's making it mean something again. Because for years, the letters NWA just kind of lost their meaning. And Billy and LaGreca are doing a really good job of bringing that back. And I remember when we first walked in, we both could be like, hey, this is the studio where they filmed this. Hey, this is the studio where they filmed this. And then you see the set, you're like, oh my God, that's where this happened. And then you saw the banners. And then we got really close with the Rock and Roll Express, who we both look up to. And from the minute we walked in that locker room, they kind of took us under their wing. And I remember after the first show, going to the hotel, we bought a case of beer, bought a pizza, sat down, just drank and ate pizza with them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and like as two fans growing up in wrestling, Brian and I were like, oh my God, is this happening? And then it was like, wait a minute, they're teaching us too. Like, here are guys that pretty much invented tag team wrestling telling us, ideas and stuff that we can get along. And I remember just the day that we went back to the airport, him and I were both looking at each other like, did this just happen? Like, we wrestled for the NWA World Tag Team titles, and we hung out all weekend with the Rock and Roll Express on studio wrestling, and it's great. And then when our first promo dropped with us coming down the stairs, I was at the gym, and my phone kept blowing up. It was Brian. He says, hey, have you checked Twitter? I said, no, what do you mean? He goes, well, I think we broke Twitter. And it was just everyone talking about the bouncers in NWA, and it was like, cool, we made the right decision.
How did that feel for you, seeing that on social media?
I mean, it's fun. It's a lot of fun to interact with the fans, and and especially when you see positive stuff. Social media, especially Twitter, can be pretty negative at times. But it was really awesome to just see like people excited that we were there, and excited, and talked about how we were such a good fit there. And it was just a really cool experience, top to bottom. But I think anytime you can see people and they enjoy what you do, and and they're genuinely excited to see you, whether it's live or on the internet or whatever, I think that's pretty awesome. So I always love that. Maybe not love the negativity so much, but
yeah,
if we can, let's make Twitter a positive place for pro wrestling.
We all get it, right? We all get it. Sometimes you just need a disconnect from social media. Don't worry, it happens to everybody. So now, speaking about the studio setting and cutting promos, what was the difference between cutting a promo in the studio setting versus live or in front of an audience like Ring of Honor?
The first thing we both said is when we were standing at the curtain, we both looked at each other and goes, all right, well, hopefully they know who we are. Because like, even though we're on TV and doing all this stuff, there's that little piece of you that makes you human, and you're like, I really hope they react in some way. And when we walked out and everyone stood up and turned, because we don't have that normal entrance, we don't come from the entranceway, we always come from the crowd. And when they all turned and looked at us, I remember Brian tapped me on the shoulder going, I think they know us. I was like, yes. And then we were told that we're going to cut a promo. And we're like, oh, okay, wait, what? Because it's like, we thought it was going to be, except Ring of Honor, we can do a lot of pre-tape stuff. And, they can help us out with stuff. Here it was live in front of a crowd, and it's not intimidating because we're both trained that way. Our shows with Ring of Honor, even though they might show on the Honor Club, they're still live.
Right.
And it was just, I don't know, it was fun. I don't know how else to answer that.
So now, have you, going through the crowd, have you guys ever had like any awkward, crazy fan interaction moments during any of that? Has anything weird happened to you guys?
I mean, I Bruce is going to be mad at me here, but
I can sense a story coming.
Yeah.
I sense it coming.
There's been a couple of instances. I mean, getting over the barricade is always a little bit of an adventure, especially with how tight the fans are. And there was one time Bruiser kicked somebody in the face.
A fan?
Going over in Las Vegas, yeah. I mean, the lady was still psyched. She was still pretty excited. We were right there and coming through the crowd. But yeah, poor woman. And you just see me, and I like covered my mouth, and then I realized, oh, she's okay, and then I just couldn't even contain myself. I was just laughing hysterically.
You're like, hey, you're part of the show now. You're part of the match.
I had no idea I did it either until I think it was like a week later when whoever was editing the TV show texted me the clip.
No.
I texted Brian. He's like, oh, you didn't know you did that? I'm like, no, I had no clue.
Oh my God, that's so crazy. And you're like, I need to find this woman, apologize or something. Well, that's really, really awesome. So now I want to know, who is the bigger drinker amongst you both?
Oh God, we've never really found out. We've always gone beer for beer. Like, I don't think we've ever drank each other under the table. It's always been.
No, it's usually. It's usually we drink until everything we got is gone.
You're like, by then, I don't know who was the last one drinking.
Yeah, people are coming to us for beers. You know what I mean? They know the bouncers always got plenty.
I think the only time we've ever come close to us finding out who it was in Vegas.
Oh,
Brian's first time in Vegas, because we went to the Strip. We were drinking on the Strip, then we went back to the hotel, met with all the boys, and we were drinking there. So what, like 6 in the morning, I think it was, Brian, when you realized, holy cow, it's 6 in the morning, we got to wrestle today. And
well, yeah,
he's like,
it was. I got in they had the pay-per-view Friday night. I flew in. I got to the pay-per-view. The pay-per-view was already going on. You know, it was like 9:30 Vegas time. We had to go. This is bad. We had to go up to do. We had a meet and greet the next day. We were going to the Children's Hospital in the morning, and so we went to the Strip. We came back. We see a couple of the guys there, and we're like, we don't want to be rude. Let's go have a couple. Let's go have a couple of beers. We'll just have a couple, then we'll go to bed, get 6-7 hours of sleep, and we'll be fine. And then you start doing that math in your head when you're like, we'll get we'll get like 5 hours of sleep. We'll be fine. We'll get like 4, and then all of a sudden it's like, wow, it's 6 a.m. and we got to be up in 3 hours.
God, I know you're like doing like a 5, 4, 3. There's no more hours left. It almost seems like maybe Las Vegas is like the perfect city, or maybe not the perfect city for the bouncers.
Yeah. Well, then the next night, we had the TV taping, and my flight was like 5 a.m. So now I'm tired, I'm exhausted, but you just get to that point. I'm like, if I go to bed now, I'm not waking up for this flight. So I just stayed up all night, went to the airport straight from the casino at 5 a.m. Yeah.
That's
we've done
awesome.
that. We've done that many times.
Now you guys
New Orleans.
New Orleans is crazy. I've been to New Orleans once. I went down to Bourbon Street and I was like, this is way too much for me. I was like, I cannot believe everything that I'm seeing here. It was funny because I was walking and I actually ended up seeing Cowboy James Storm randomly walking on the streets. I was like, that is like perfect. I feel like it's perfect timing. So it's just like one of those things that you just like randomly see. What would you say that those are some of your favorite cities when you guys go out and shoot? Las Vegas, New Orleans. Do you guys have any favorites? Any favorite towns?
Yeah,
Philadelphia is our town. Like Philly's our town because it's where we formed as a tag team. It's where we first did the crowd entrance. We main evented against Young Bucks and Cody there. Philly's always gonna have, and it's the ECW arena, but it's always gonna have a place in our hearts.
Mm-hmm.
We've had many a nights drinking in Philly too, where we've had to get up the next day and just get on a flight. But Philly, both of us can say Philly.
Yeah, I think New York too. I mean, New York is New York's a special city, especially you talk about Madison Square Garden, but then you also talk about the Hammerstein Ballroom, where it has so much rich wrestling history, and you're in Manhattan, you're in center of New York. I mean, I think anytime you talk about pro wrestling, especially me being a Northeast boy, I grew up in the Northeast. New York was always where you talked about, where you wanted to wrestle. So New York's a pretty awesome town too.
Really cool. So now, what is your beer of choice for each of you?
We have the same one. Yeah. We both have the same. It's Yuengling's our favorite beer, and it's. I'm lucky enough they have it in Massachusetts, although I haven't been to Massachusetts now in about 8 weeks, even though I'm like 15 minutes from the border. Bruiser doesn't have it where he is though. But we get out on the road. It's definitely Yuengling wherever we can find it.
Nice.
Yeah, I can't get Yuengling here in Milwaukee, and I've been on Twitter trying to run a campaign telling Yuengling, hey, send me some beer. I've had a couple fans try to mail it to me, which turns out it's illegal to mail alcohol. So
makes sense. That makes sense. Like I didn't know it, but it makes sense.
I text Brian. We talk every day, and I remember telling him like, "Hey man, I cannot wait till that first show back on the East Coast because we are going to drink so much Yuengling."
And now my last question for each of you is: what is your guilty pleasure beer?
Oh, that's a good question. Cold. I like cold beer.
I mean, I don't know, I don't know if you follow us on social media or not, Denise, but me and the Bruiser did an Instagram live last week, and I found out that my tag team partner is into hard seltzers.
No, I am. Okay.
I think I'm going to propose a name change for him to the Seltzer City Bruiser.
No, so I do not like seltzers, and it just so happens that my tag team partner decided to crack open a bottle of wine. Not just one, 2 bottles of wine, because we've been doing Instagram Live Sundays just to keep in touch with the fans. And he decided to crack open 2 bottles of wine. Well, my wife at the time was drinking seltzer, just handed it to me. And I'm like, oh, I'll take a drink. And I drank it. He goes, what is that? Because he knows I hate seltzers. And I looked, oh my God. And now all the fans that are watching are thinking that this is what I'm drinking, and my good old tag team partner, who can't let a good joke go away, is trying to convince everybody that's my guilty pleasure, and it's not.
You're like, I need to get past that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you guys were absolutely so much fun to hang out with here on Zoom. Thank you guys so much for joining me. But before we go, where can people find you guys on social media?
I'm on Twitter at BCB Winchester, Facebook, the Beer City Bruiser, Instagram, Beer City Bruiser, ProWrestlingTees.com/Beer City Bruiser, and then of course ROHWrestling.com. You can find us. We've been doing a lot on the YouTube page for Ring of Honor. We have what's called Happy Hour with the Bouncers, and it's us interviewing the roster of Ring of Honor. The first interview didn't go so well because Brian thought it was a date with Session Moth Martina. And we just recently put up a video of us trying to interview Josh Woods, who's obsessed with Silas Young. But we've been doing that to keep busy. And then like I said, on Sundays, usually we're on Instagram Live. So
Awesome.
Yeah, you can find me. I'm at Brian Milonas on Twitter, at Brian Milonas KP on Instagram. I did create a TikTok. I haven't created much content yet.
Oh, I got to see your TikTok. I got to see this.
It's at Brian Milonas.
I have TikTok also at Beer City Bruiser. So.
And then if anybody's looking for a cool Bouncers or Brian Milonas t-shirt, BrianMilonas.com, the official t-shirt store.
All right. Thank you guys so much once again for this interview. Guys, for those of you watching, please do not forget to give this video a like. Make sure to follow the Bouncers on social media and all of that they just mentioned. And as always, do not forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel for more awesome videos just like this one. Until next time, I'm Denise Salcedo with the Bouncers, and we'll see you guys later. Bye.